All right, we good?
Yep.
UNI is coming off of a split series against the #1 ranked St. Cloud State University team, while St. Ambrose was upset by the 6th ranked Briarcliff Chargers. Both teams are trying to bounce back and make the podium tonight. Which team will salvage their postseason run? Will UNI come back and get the revenge from their Week 1 loss in a split series matchup against St. Ambrose? Or will St. Ambrose come back and sweep the Panthers in both the regular and postseason play? Hello, UNI Panther fans and Valorant fans alike. Welcome to the NECC Midwest 5 bronze medal matchup, where your 4th-ranked UNI Panthers from Cedar Falls, Iowa, will dance against the 2nd-ranked St. Ambrose University Fighting Bees from Davenport, Iowa. Thank you for joining us one final time this spring semester. My name is Hunter, and working double duty is Berkey. Thank you, Berkey, for joining us in the booth and working production today. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me, for starters. And you know what? I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited for this match. I feel like it's gonna be a rough one, but it's gonna keep us on our seats. I have a good feeling about that.
Absolutely, and as we get loaded into Fracture, what do you like about Fracture? What do you not like about Fracture? Because you've played prior.
So, personally, I am a Sentinel and Smokes main. So, I personally, for my pick, I like to see either maybe, for Sentinel-wise, a KJ or a Chamber, which we have on both teams. This map is very strong for both agents. KJ has a very strong setup for both sites. Chamber has a very good A-hold on that long angle with pretty much all of his utility. I see that we have 2 different Smokes picks. We have a Brimstone and a Clove, and I am curious to see how UNI makes that Brimstone work, especially when they don't have the regenerative smokes that we see from the Clove or maybe like an Omen pick. But I'm excited to see what UNI comes out with this team comp they have. Neon's definitely a strong duelist, strong entry duelist, strong rotate duelist. I'm excited.
Yeah. So here we go. Match 1. It is a best of a 3 series. Thank you. So it's going to be whoever gets the first to 2 will go ahead and secure the bronze matchup. For UNI, it's going to be the same starters from week 1. It's going to be Favelet, Beefman, Remy, Mr. Sirclaps, and Pop-Tart, while St. Ambrose will have DZ, Notbert, Bork, Obi, and Wave Check.
Alrighty, we have UNI with the first pick, but unfortunately Pop-Tart and Favelet have taken a good amount of damage from this potential A hit. And we're gonna see all of St. Ambrose rotating to that B site where only Beefman's left.
Yeah, it's gonna also come down to UNI's ability to retake, as right there 3 members of UNI will go down.
3 members. That's rough. Leaving their 2 weakest players alive. It's gonna be a hard retake for Pop-Tart and Favelet.
I wouldn't call them weakest.
I wouldn't say weakest, but they have the lowest health. Come on.
Tell me how you really feel.
No. I love our UNI boys, okay? I'm just saying, they did have the weakest health.
All right, and with that, a quick execution on point for the St. Ambrose Fighting Bees, and with that, for the first time in a while, UNI will lose their first pistol matchup. So going into round 2 here, Berkey, what do you expect to see from this second round?
I'm expecting to see probably heavy pushes from St. Ambrose. They do have the better guns, so they're more likely not going to be afraid. It looks like UNI did make a couple of smaller purchases, a couple deagles. We do have a Marshall in the hands of Favelet, which we all know how strong he is with that. He is really strong with any op ability. Oh, and Beefman with the shorty gets taken out.
Yeah, Tones is going to go ahead, get that kill confirmed. The Brimstone, though, goes to half health for the side of St. Ambrose. Tones again with the ghost, taking out Mr. Surflaps and 2 members of UNI down.
Clove is 1. There goes Pop-Tart on flank. You know, it's okay. UNI did a lot of damage to St. Ambrose, and they took a gun. So that's shields that they're going to have to buy, a new weapon, maybe, unless they had, you know, bonus weapons. And
yeah,
now
so,
UNI's on their full buy, so we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, so is it just expecting like full Vandals, full armor from the side of UNI?
For a full buy, they're expected to have heavy weapons, heaviest armor they can buy, full or even regen shield is definitely most expected from this group, because regen has become very strong in the world of Valorant with that ability to get back some of your shield throughout the rounds.
And right out the gate, not Burt falling to a member of UNI.
I believe he fell to Pop-Tart.
Yeah, Pop-Tart, one of the top 3 as
Remy and Claps both get... Okay. Pop-Tart on the flank. Does he get him here? Yes, he does. And that is a round for UNI.
Well, that's nice, especially on a full buy. You really like to see it with the sort of kind of the eco matchup here.
And they only lost 1 gun, which is quite impressive, considering St. Ambrose had all of their weapons from the previous round. Cool.
All right, so as we're kind of getting comfortable here, what do you expect to see from St. Ambrose to kind of get the answer? Because obviously, like, Valorant's a game about communication and all this other jazz, but eco kind of plays so much into it, wouldn't you say?
I would agree. Eco plays really into it, especially in a game where it's all about buys and essentially counter buys, seeing what you can buy with little money. Oh, and Pop-Tart goes down, but Beefman gets the trade.
And the Clove able to pop off the res.
Oh, but
and not Burt picking up 2.
That's huge. We're gonna see a 1v4 retake from Favelet. He might just try to save his gun, but we shall see.
I would expect that coming out from Favelet. Of course, as he sort of kind of holds down that A-rope side, I wouldn't expect him to move all too much.
It would be probably pretty good to save weapons, considering he did die last round, and so he did have to repurchase his gun, meaning he does not have creds if he loses it. A very strong B take from St. Ambrose as well. I think we're going to see a lot more of that until UNI can figure out how to shut it down.
Yeah, that's going to be one thing that I'm going to be looking to see as the round sort kind of progress. Like what we saw early in with that week 1 matchup is just kind of like a domination St. Ambrose, and it all had to come down to the second map where UNI kind of played a more favorable, I guess, map. I believe it was Haven.
Okay, so one that they're more likely to pick.
Yes.
Man, UNI loves those 3-site maps.
And it kind of works with their play style. I mean, considering that, you know, they typically play only in pairs. They don't really engage much as a team unless we're playing something like a Lotus. But already out the gate, 2 members of UNI go down. However, Mr. Surflaps does get to pick up on DZ.
He did get the trade, which is going to be good, and it's going to force a rotate from St. Ambrose because they know that Mr. Sir Claps is pushed so far up A.
And it's going to be Beefman on the hold for B.
I wonder if they know he's here. I wonder if they know that he anchored this site. Oh, he gets one. They're holding him, so he's got to wait for his team. Now we're at a 3v3 situation for UNI.
The Brimstone ultimate will come out. That's a trade out.
That's a trade,
it's going to be a 2v2.
It's up to Mr. Sir Claps.
And Tones able to find one. It's going to be a 1v1 on site. Mr. Sir Claps trying to focus in on Tones. Peeking the corner.
Mr. Sir Claps gets it. 3 kills from Mr. Sir Claps.
Mr. Sir Claps getting it done, especially on the Brimstone, which is interesting to see considering that normally we see him on a duelist. So
he's
really nice to see him.
usually on a duelist. Seeing him on an initiator pick with our breach is definitely not normal, and having Pop-Tart on that duelist and then putting Favelet on the Sentinel, they're changing up their comp a little bit on us, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, considering what we saw from week 1 when they played against San Ambrose in the regular season, maybe they're just trying to change things up. Maybe they learned something too from the UNO LAN that they had this last weekend. Where they went
that's
and
right.
won. So really wondering if maybe some of the things that they learned from that LAN tournament is what's going to be playing on into here against this bronze medal matchup.
Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they definitely took something away from that LAN that they played. Oh, excuse me. I would not be surprised at all. All right.
Ruby with the headshot.
But Favelet did a lot of damage to him. And their Teo, him and DZ are pretty low.
Nice.
2 kills.
Raging Remy.
That wasn't his ult. That was just his utility. You had the right idea. I'll give you that. Remy with 3. Remy with 3 kills.
He was listening. He was like, it's not the ult. Let me show you what the ult can do.
Speaking of the ult, Remy now does have his ultimate ability. I wonder when we're gonna see that come out.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what kind of the ult economy is gonna be. Of course, both teams have their Teo ult.
Looks like
UNI has their Brimstone ult.
We lost our Neon ult. I think that last round. I'm guessing Pop-Tart saved and went ahead and used it.
Maybe, just maybe, I was calling out the Neon ult that.
Oh, I think you were.
Oh, is that
I think
right?
you were. Yeah.
Of course not. I don't know what I'm talking about, Ricky.
It's okay. Fake it till you make it. And you know what?
That's right.
You're doing a good job at it.
Thanks. And UNI is currently tied as Mr. Sir Claps able to get the headshot. However, 2 members of UNI go down in this tied map 1.
All right, we see Remy trying to figure out where everyone is. He does still have that ult. See, Favelet is close to his ult as well. So we're about to have 2 ults up from UNI as we see St. Ambrose rotating, actually.
Yeah, they're going to work away on that B side,
which
where
is now empty.
Will go ahead and take out Pop-Tart. So with this, it's going to be a 2v4 retake. Does UNI come back from this, Berkey?
I say they definitely could. Both Remy and Favelet are very strong assets to this team. I mean, Remy's already shown that he does have what it takes to kill these guys. I mean, he got a 3K, you know? That's pretty big, you know?
1 enemy remaining.
Oh.
Not Bert with 3.
Not Bert with 3, but he's taking a lot of damage. I don't think he pushes.
Wave check with the spray and pray. Finally, Ubi going to go ahead, take out Raging Remy. And with that, the advantage now ticks over for the side of St. Ambrose. So UNI going to have to try and bounce back from a really what I've noticed so far, Berkey, is really clean point takes from the St. Ambrose team, and I feel like that might be their calling card if UNI is going to want to come back in this one.
They're definitely very coordinated in their attacks and their pushes, and they always have some sort of lurk. But I don't think we're going to see a lurk this time because I believe, if I was correct, St. Ambrose has that KJ ult. That KJ ult is a huge taker for the B site, but they're not using it, so I'm a little curious. At least not in the normal.
Oh, Pop-Tart already with 2.
But he did get traded. They do have that Cloval up. They got to be careful not to die to it, so they lose another player. All right, it's going to be a 3v3. I spoke too soon.
Got a 1v3. Caster curse.
Okay.
But Mr. Circlaps picks up 2.
Mr.
He's going to be blinded.
Circlaps.
He's going to face it on with Wave Check. Wave Check, though, able to get Mr. Circlaps. And the lead extends by 2.
The Battle of the Breaches. Oh, man. All right.
Yeah.
We still have that KJ ult up. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Beefman has his Brim ult. He does. So I wonder if St. Ambrose has realized this and is trying to bait out that Brim ult.
When would it be a good time to bait out a Brim ult? Would that be earlier in like the team fight? Is that after the take or after the plant? What does that look like?
It's very dependent on kind of what's going on. It can either be done beginning of the round, during plant is also something that they could do it from. Post plant as well. Sometimes a Brimstone on the enemy team can use their ult to stop a push post plant.
And already out the gate, 3 members of both teams going down in that first initial bout. Kind of everybody was kind of staring down that A pseudo main. Someone was looking over at B, and with the bomb being down and secured by both Favelet and Mr. Circlaps, this is going to be an interesting retake for the attackers for St. Ambrose.
I agree. Losing Favelet, it's all up to Mr. Circlaps.
And he couldn't quite get it done. Of course, Favelet with the Outlaw had the opportunity to get that shot off. Unfortunately, didn't get a clear picture. I don't know what was kind of going on there.
So,
however,
Favelet got breach stunned, and so it kind of fogs up his vision, leading it to where you won't have a clear shot. And I think even, I think also Mr. Circlaps got hit by that stun as well, which would have led to him not being able to try and, protect Favelet in that situation. And we're going to see another pseudo-aggressive B hit from St. Ambrose, which this is the hit that's worked out for them definitely the most.
Yeah, they definitely get the cleanest takes on B, I've noticed.
I think they're aware that our Sentinel, Favelet on Sentinel, plays on the A site.
With this, it's going to be a trade out for DZ. We'll be taking out Beefman. Mr. Circlaps takes out Tones.
And it looks like UNI is going to use 3 ultimates for this retake.
Favelet able to pick up 1. He finds another. And Mr. Circlaps sees Not Burt behind him. Got the 6th sense. Blinds out Not Burt, but he's got 2 in the chamber. He gets taken out by Not Burt, but Favelet gonna stick the bomb.
UNI with the round. Little bit chaotic. They did use 3 ults for that round, and I do believe that St. Ambrose still has a couple in their pockets. Yeah, St. Ambrose will have 3 ultimates going into this next round, while UNI's gonna have just the Neon ult, it looks like.
Now,
Can't-
do you expect St. Ambrose to utilize more ultimates as we're getting closer to the half?
I do believe that we're going to start seeing some more ults come out, especially now that that Brim ult's gone. That Brim ult just kind of keeps them from using some of those ults that they definitely want to use.
And Pop-Tart going to try and use the Neon ult. Lots of members of UNI and St. Ambrose goes down as the dust settles. It's going to come down to Favelet. Three members of St. Ambrose. Tones, DZ, and Not Bert still alive as they will go ahead and get the plan on B.
Not Bert is one. Not Bert gets taken out by Favelet. And Tones is at 49 health. I wonder if Favelet knows this and is going to try to utilize the 1v1s.
DZ is going to try and poke the corner. Maybe catch out Favelet. Oh, and Favelet doesn't see him. Doesn't clear behind
Favelet doesn't clear the box. Oh, man.
Last round in the half.
And we're the last round before the half. Berkey, what do we expect from these teams?
I definitely expect to see St. Ambrose use these ults. They have, I said 3, correct?
Yes.
They have 3 and they almost have 4 with the Clove ult being 1 off. That's almost probably going to be a free site take from St. Ambrose with the 3 ultimates that they do have. Teo, Breach, and KJ. And UNI has no ultimates to spare. It's just going to be...
You should run.
And already 2 members of UNI going down. Make it
3
3 as
members.
Beefman gets cleared out. As the attacker Killjoy is going to be on that B spawn. Mr. Circlaps, though, trying to get the trade out with the Headhunter.
He did
Unfortunately
get
goes
1.
down.
Spike planted.
And it's going to be a 1v4 for Favelet.
He clutches them, right? Right, Berkey?
You know what? The times of the game will tell. He has Guardian in hand and full HP.
Oh.
Unfortunately, could not clutch the round. But
Sides.
I do believe that UNI is pretty good on their attack sides. I believe their pushing style is typically pretty good for them. They are also running a very unusual comp. Not comp, but they have unusual players playing certain agents, certain roles.
I think the biggest one to note is Mr. Circlaps on the Brimstone, which, like we kind of mentioned earlier, normally that's going to be a duelist pick for Mr. Circlaps.
Yes, Mr.
So
he's actually on the Breach. Beefman is on the Brimstone. Very easy to confuse. No, it's
Oh,
all
goodness.
good. They're the same character. Don't worry.
Are they? Are they really?
I mean, they could be brothers. All
As
right.
Raging Remy will go ahead and get the first pick on Wave.
He
Easy
is
taking out
one
Favelet.
tap, so he has to be careful.
Locating targets.
DZ taking out Beefman,
One suppressed.
but Remy was able to drone him out, so they know where he is.
Start's going to go down to 1 hit. Mr. Circlaps with the ghost taking out Not Bert. Oh man, DZ already with 3. It's going to be a 2v2.
2v2.
Tones got the hot hand, finds 1.
And unfortunately, Tones got Mr. Circlaps to very low health, so DZ was just able to finish him off.
Yeah, DZ with 3 HP and 4 kills that first pistol round.
That's a big round.
No then papaja. You compromise.
Now
Big
also-
round for St. Ambrose.
Yeah, extending the lead now to 9-4 in this best of 3 matchup. You want to know the interesting thing, Berkey, is that DZ has an informant on the inside. Now, what do I mean by that? Of course, that's pretty blasphemous to say. Favelet and DZ are brothers. Did you know that?
Oh, I do believe I remember y'all saying that whenever they played the first time.
All missiles away.
Yeah. I'm just double checking my notes to make sure that I'm not a liar. Yes, no, they are brothers. So
Okay.
that it's a little brotherly matchup here in the postseason tournament. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
not just podium placements that we're playing for, Berkey. We're playing for bragging rights at the dinner table.
Definitely after map 1, those bragging rights, depending on how this goes, can either be very in favor of one or the other.
One enemy remaining.
Absolutely, as already UNI getting absolutely sweet in this second round out of the half. And
I will say,
10-4.
Ubi was down to 1 HP, so that's a lot of damage out from UNI, which, like I said, can definitely be big for Eco because Ubi's going to have to rebuy his shields. And same thing with their Tones, also had to repurchase shield. So the Eco's going to be a little skewed at the moment, but it's going to be an interesting map to see finish out.
Again, with the headhunter, gonna try and look down that A-long hallway, and Beefman and Mr. Sir Claps able to pick up one. Pop-Tart gets traded out, and Mr. Sir Claps good for 2.
It's going to be a 1v3 site take for UNI as we see not Bert rotating from the B site.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if UNI is gonna know that they're gonna come from that top side.
Yeah, I wonder if UNI is going to expect him to be here, especially because they do know, obviously, that he was playing that B site.
Oh, and was that a little flick of the trigger slip that I saw? So maybe that gave away not Bert's position. So UNI gonna go ahead and push it to a 5-round deficit.
Well, regardless, not Bert was in a disadvantage in that 1v3. Coming from the side where you do have to drop down from a higher angle where you're gonna make a footstep. Typically, in when there's more players around, it's a lot more common to see people shoot as they land to cover up their footsteps. But in a 1v3 situation, unfortunately, it just kind of sold him out a little bit more than those footsteps, I think, did.
Not Bert, gonna draw first. DZ able to pick up
DZ getting
Fablet.
the second. Mr. Sir Claps is very low.
Remy tried to find one, doesn't get Tones.
But he did get one.
Oh, Beefman, good for 2. Tone's gonna go ahead and
Try to chase him down. And unfortunately, Tones got the kill.
So with this, UNI gonna have to crawl back from this one. They're down 6 here, Berkey. What does UNI need to do? Do we just throw map 1 away, start thinking about map 2? What do we think here for UNI?
This is definitely still a winnable map for UNI. I think a big thing is that they're not having that lurk that they usually have, Hunter. So they don't have someone pushing that separate site to try and get out a pick. Which we know UNI, their lurks are very strong.
Mr. Sir Claps going down. Beefman, though, able to get the trade out for
trade.
him.
Wave check using a lot of flashes on this drop push here. I wonder if UNI expects Tones. They do not. An ult from Beefman, which is not what I expected. I'm gonna be frank with you. Was not ready for that.
Yeah, Fablet goes down as well, and UNI, with a couple good series shots by Pop-Tart, it's gonna be a 2v2. As Beefman's gonna go ahead and get the plant down, or he's gonna fake the plant.
Unfortunately, that Teo ult just completely pushed him off, along with that KJ util. And Pop-Tart's down to 1 HP, has 25 in his shield. It's gonna be a pretty rough push for Pop-Tart here.
Pop-Tart, though, finds one, and he knows where DZ is. Pokes him
Pop-Tart!
out, and a clutch play for Pop-Tart.
Pop-Tart with 4, that's a huge round. Unfortunately, UNI couldn't keep more guns, so I believe their buy is gonna be a little bit broken here.
UNI able to pick up a round, and I feel like that's got to be feeling good, Berkey.
That has to be a good motivation changer for UNI. And correct me if I'm wrong, but UNI are pretty good at their comebacks, wouldn't you say?
Oh, 100%. We've seen it before.
We saw it during the LAN that they participated in.
Yes, exactly. So definitely not a stranger to the comebacks.
Like I said, this game's not over for UNI. Oh, Ubi getting the trade. Not sure.
Oh, DZ with the headhunter, but Favelet gets the trade now.
Not Burt is on the flank, and it doesn't look like we have a chamber trip. Oh, Tones is also with Not Burt on that flank. I wonder if UNI expects this.
Spike planted.
I don't know, but Beefman will go ahead and get the plant. However, Favelet might be the first man, or
It looks like Mr. Sir Claps.
Gonna note if they're there. Beefman goes down. Mr. Sir Claps goes down. Favelet with
Favelet with 3.
Tones at half health. Knows where they are. Gonna see if they can get a couple pen shots.
Favelet knows.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, unfortunately, the shots
Turned
just
at the
didn't
last
connect.
And that's one if you want back.
That's
as
one that
Tones
you need for UNI. UNI needed that round.
As the deficit now increases to 6. Match point for map 1 coming out from St. Ambrose. So looking a little bit like what we saw from week 1 here, Berkey. What does UNI need to do? They have 4 ultimates stacked up. Are we gonna at least see one of them?
I'm sure we're gonna see. I have a feeling we'll see probably Neon ult coming out from Pop-Tart here, and possibly even Breach ult combined with it.
You want to play? Let's play.
And it looks like we also got the Chamber ult out from Favelet. And unfortunately, Pop-Tart gets taken down by Ubi.
And Mr. Sir Clap's gonna have to sit back and wait. DZ though picks up 2, and it's gonna be a 2v5. And Ubi getting it done.
That counter ult from Wave Check just completely threw UNI off their groove with that one. Wouldn't you say?
I completely agree. It's going to be just one of those things where I feel like if UNI, coming into the next map, I guess, I don't know. What would you say UNI needed to do better there?
I'd definitely say they need to try and bring back that lurk aspect that we've seen in their previous games. Typically, they get some pretty big picks, and even if not picks, they get good information off of those lurks. And I think not having them on this map just made taking site and rotating really difficult for them.
Yeah, because that's something that we've lacked too, is like Pop-Tart was really good for at least 1 or 2 lurk wins. So it's just one of those things where, and maybe it has to boil down to that we saw Mr. Sir Claps on the breach versus a Jet or a Raze might have also played a factor into it.
Possibly. I mean, they definitely switched around some of their players, putting Mr. Sir Claps on that initiator. It's not something we typically see from them. Typically, we always see Raging Remy either on that initiator. Recently, we've also seen him on Sentinel. On a few maps, if I'm not mistaken, I have seen him play, maybe I think it was Cypher a couple of times. And yeah, we typically see Favelet on that initiator role either with Raging Remy or alone. So changing those roles, I think, I don't know, it maybe just threw off their game a little bit.
I mean, it could have. I mean, that's one thing too. I don't know. It's really hard to say, because also the other thing too is, like, normally they're good for like a 2-0 pistol round. We've seen that before many times during the regular season and postseason. And we didn't see that. We either saw like a split or an 0-2 situation for UNI. So I don't know if maybe that has to play a factor of it. It's really hard to diagnose.
Those pistol rounds are huge. In the game of Valorant, getting that pistol round, it makes you feel good, and it sets you apart a little bit. Definitely from just getting that first round won, it kind of just fuels the drive to keep going. And then you go into second round with better weapons. So typically you can get the first and second round in your favor. I wouldn't say every time, but more often than not, those first 2 rounds are almost guaranteed to whoever won pistol.
All right, so the next one is going to be Split. Do you like Split? Do you not like Split? What's your thoughts on it, Berkey?
Personally, I like Split. I also am very kind of picky, I would say, with team comps on this map. That's just, there's strong team comps, and then there's very much so weak team comps, of course, and that's the same with all maps, but I'd say it definitely can take a toll, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we go head into Split, this is going to be a game set match. If UNI doesn't go ahead, get the win here, St. Ambrose looking at a third place matchup that they could potentially win and slightly improve from week 1 if they 2-0 UNI Panthers. However, UNI is going to try and come back from this. When it comes to Split in the regular season, UNI hasn't played Split at all, so we haven't seen Fracture. I know that was kind of added late into the regular season.
Yes, Fracture was added late. Yeah,
so
Split's not a very popular pick. I can definitely say for especially collegiate. It's typically one of the first ones banned, just because of how annoying it is, really, to play. And already, only one member from UNI is locked in, and it's Mr. Sir Claps on the Sage.
Love the Sage pick. As a low-level Val player, Sage every composition.
I'll admit, I am a little surprised that they put Mr. Sir Claps on that Sage.
I do like how Favelet is thumbing over the Jet. I feel like the sniper play from Favelet has been very good, especially in those early mid rounds. If you give him a Marshal or an Outlaw, that's been a lot of value. But again, we've typically seen that on like Lotus or Haven, usually places with like these long hallways. Now,
oh yeah, no, Favelet's up gameplay is definitely up there. It's honestly very impressive, especially with this Jet combo. He has a free out just in case something happens.
And also the big thing to note too, Beefman on the Viper, that's usually the typical pick that Beef has. So I'm really liking to see that pick here on Split.
I personally love the Viper pick on Split. She's very strong, to say the least. She's very good at splitting off positions of sight, as we can see here. Just with the wall, Beefman is able to cut off B site and mid completely.
Yeah, And also another thing to note, I have a, before we go live, Berkey, who was the all-time kills leader for the spring 2025 regular season? Quick quiz.
Oh man. I have a feeling it's either Mr. Sir Claps or Pop Tart.
It's going to be Mr. Sir Claps.
Okay.
He had
Okay.
262. So normally we see him get a lot of these kills. However, we saw him on the breach play, didn't get as many as we thought. And now that he is playing, again, I don't think he's playing another duelist.
He is not. He is playing that Sage pick, which I believe he is relatively comfortable with, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so maybe he can get a couple kills as a support player, essentially.
I mean, I believe in him. I definitely think he can do it. I think just him on breach, it was just weird for him, you know?
I completely agree, but Mr. Sir Claps, mention him once,
Getting
he'll go ahead and get a
DZ.
kill, takes out DZ. Beefman working from the heaven side. A lot of information
They
gathered.
get Ubi. They
One enemy remaining.
okay.
Mr. Sir
Beef
Claps able
and
to pick
Mr.
up
Sir
Not
Claps.
Remy finally
And-
taking out Tones.
And that is a pistol round for UNI. Something they definitely needed after that first map.
Yeah, you got to be feeling good. Like you've mentioned it before, Berkey. If you come out strong, especially with that close clutch, like round one pistol round, UNI's got to be feeling good. Maybe this is the momentum that they need to go ahead and take game 2.
I think that's the case. I definitely believe that will definitely drive their momentum, and completely change their pace of game.
So going into the split, how do you typically see the defense? I know we see Pop-Tart on the Clove kind of solo over on the A side. We see a couple towards B, one in the main, middle section. Is that what you typically see on a defense here?
Typically, I would say, yeah, this is typically what you see. Oh, and Mr. Sir Claps getting taken out early in mid. I believe it was by DZ. And looks like we might be seeing a B hit. Definitely not confirmed yet, so.
Yeah, UNI still kind of holding that A top side there on tower. And Wave Check and St. Ambrose fighting B is going to go ahead and push on to that B side, taking out Beefman.
Which is huge for St. Ambrose to be getting these picks, especially with having the worst weapons. It looks like they all force bought maybe a few sheriffs, but now they have, I believe, well, they had a Spectre, but I do believe they have a Judge somewhere around them.
And here we mentioned it, Favelet with the early round sniper has the Outlaw. Already got one pick, maybe gonna have to go for 3 more.
And unfortunately, that Judge in the hands of Wave Check just takes him out. And we're going to see an unusual loss on second round with those heavy buys.
Yeah, it's something that UNI really wants to have back. Of course, I feel like it always comes down to the initiation. St. Ambrose does a really good job at like taking the fight when they want to take it. And you can kind of see it with some of these engages, especially when they have first-hand attack. They pick the pace, and like you've mentioned before, Berkey, they pick the pace, they take the fight that they want to take, and they always kind of come out on top on these 50-50 trades.
Yeah, and I'd say that's definitely a very strong thing from St. Ambrose. Their pace isn't necessarily changed by anything.
And already 2 members of UNI go down. It's going to be Remy versus Ubi. Remy with the
gets the
headhunter
kill.
finally taking one. Mr. Sir Claps doing that as well. It's going to be a 3v3, as it looks like it's going to be an A push.
Long is down.
And a
That's Wave Check.
plant from Wave Check.
Spike planted.
Ammunition.
UNI kind of working this like A tower site, trying to get an angle as DZ though with the Phantom taking out Mr. Sir Claps. However, Beefman with the Bucky. We've seen this at least once per round. Can he get one? Yes! Can he get a 2? No!
No,
And Jeezy.
unfortunately. DZ with 4.
Second time that he's had 4 this series, and you know, when you're the brother of Favlet, you know, sometimes that awesomeness has to rub off every once in a while.
Every
right?
once in a while, I think they gotta share it, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Every once in a while, I definitely think it transfers back and forth, you know? How would I know? I don't have a sibling that plays Valorant, so...
Well, I just don't really have a full-blooded sibling, so...
Well, man, I guess neither of us really know.
I can't figure that out. All right, UNI down 1 in game 2, trying to come back from the kind of queasy pistol round.
And
as
Tones taking
and
out Mr. Sir Claps and Beefman.
That's another calling card that UNI is going to need to figure out is Tones, is just the amount of elims that Tones gets in an early round kind of situation has just been absolutely working so well for the St. Ambrose team.
Tones is a very aggressive player, especially on that Clove pick. He has the ability to play aggressive how he wants to. And I think that really works in the favor of St. Ambrose's playstyle. They like to take site, and they like to try and take site quick. So I do believe that UNI is going to have to try and figure out how to keep them from taking that site as fast as they do.
And 3 members of UNI stacked around on that far A side. They're going to have to pick up the pace if they want to go ahead and get this re-engage. I know it's going to be a 3v5 retake, but I feel like there's got to be a sense of urgency.
UNI is down on eco right now. They got to try and keep as many guns up as they can. And that's what they do. They kept 3 and unfortunately lost. I'm not sure what gun Mr. Sir Claps had, but they did lose a Bucky in the process of that mid-fight. Something else I could definitely say is we gotta wall off mid, and we gotta try not give them picks, because once they get that first pick, they just run with it.
Also, how critical is a Sage ult? Just in general.
It can very much so make or break a game.
As Raging Remy pops through the smoke, tries to find one, but doesn't get the second, as Ubi will go ahead and pick him up. And
did some damage to Wave Check. Without that Sage heal, Wave Check's gonna be half.
No, and Pop-Tart, while trying to use some of his util, gets headshot by Tones.
Unfortunately, yeah, he just got timing from that smoke. But Favlet gets Tones, and now it is going to be Favlet against 3. And it looks like we have Ubi walking up behind him. I wonder if Favlet expects this.
Nah, this is going to be a full reactionary play as Favlet's going to try, but not Bert able to take him out.
Not Bert being pushed to 1, unfortunately. It just seems like maybe the sky maybe got in the way of that fight, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think what it also has to boil down to is that UNI, when they're getting these early engages, they go down so quickly. And of course, when it comes to these 50-50 plays that I see like a lot between these two teams, they're just not winning them. And partly is the reason for the timing, and partly is just like maybe they're not utilizing as much as their kit as possible. I feel like they're kind of wishy-washy on things that they want to commit.
I think I could agree, because some of the util that they have can just be really strong for a retake, and Favlet gets DZ, and it's gonna be UNI with the first pick of this map. And Pop-Tart with Ubi, but Mr. Sir Claps gets traded out. Beefman with the lineup.
Gets a follow-up as well. Beefman with 3.
And they
and
have
an uncharacteristic early round here for UNI as Beefman gets 3 almost right out the gate. Can he get a 4th?
No, but he gets not burnt to low, and Pop-Tart finishes it out. While also getting out that Cypher ult, which is honestly a pretty big ult to get out.
Maybe the linchpin that UNI needs, Berkey. UNI finally gets a clean match, makes St. Ambrose use one of their ultimates. UNI stacked now with 4 ults. Maybe they can crawl back from this 2-round deficit.
I'd like to say that they can. St. Ambrose does have a Neon ult coming up, but that, unfortunately, with the power of the 4 ults that UNI has, might not be as helpful as they want it to be.
Favelet already going to initiate with the Jet Knives, finds one before being traded out by Not Burt. And it's going to be this mid-top side that UNI is going to play through the Cypher ult. Not Burt picks up one. Raging Remy finds one as well. DZ finds Remy. And as the dust settles, it's going to be a 2v3.
And it looks like Mr. Sherclaps is pushing up into that mid, probably to try and get a res off, or maybe even a gun, or both. Both is an option.
Both is always an option.
Both is an option, especially when mid is taken like this.
Yeah, but Mr. Sirclap's going to get the res on Favelet, so here we go, Berkey. Here's the res being utilized. Maybe this is the game changer that UNI needs to come back in this one.
Definitely a good retake ultimate from UNI, but unfortunately... Oh, Favelet
The 2
Pop
members. Pop-Tart! Pop off late on the Clove.
And Favelet put that res to use and did get, I believe, Not Burt is who he killed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So like you've mentioned before, a game changer, as UNI will go ahead and push the deficit down now to 1. And as we kind of start round 8, Berkey, how does UNI come back and tie this game?
I think they just keep the momentum they have going, and try to not give those early picks. But again, we do know UNI, they like their gunfights. They like to play aggressive. And so those early picks, it's kind of just who has the better crosshair placement almost, or the better spray pattern at that point.
And it comes back to those 50-50s. A Beefman will go ahead, put down the Viper ult,
Which
We're on that A
completely
main
cuts
entrance.
off A. Players from St. Ambrose will have to push into that ult in order to try and enter it all, which is definitely harmful. Wave check getting the pick, and DZ getting the second. Pop-Tart is not clearing. Tone's out, and Tones gets the kill.
Yeah, that was just sort of kind of sloppy angles played there by Pop-Tart.
Definitely not a corner you'd expect someone to be tucked in, especially in a 4v3 situation, which is now actually a 3v2 situation.
Yeah, Beefman knows where Ubi is, has to push the Neon out, and he's gonna
Beefman
be
gets
able to get the
Ubi.
penetration kill.
But Beefman is low, so it's going to be up to Remy with his higher health. And unfortunately, he's just not ready for wave check to be pushed up there.
Yeah, I feel like one of the things that UNI needs to work on as we're kind of getting later into this first half is definitely like maybe coordinating some of those team callouts, because Beefman working the higher angle, of course, gets the poke out on Ubi, but you got Remy working from the side that I feel like if you would navigate that Viper wall a little bit better, maybe sit back and wait till both of you can re-engage on that A point, maybe we'd be talking about a different story. So some coordination that UNI might have to work on.
I can agree. Definitely some retake coordination is needed, but I mean, hey, Mr. Sir Clap's got Not Burt, their flank sentinel, so flank is open for UNI to try and take advantage of here if they really want to.
Sky is my favorite character.
Sky's a good character. Very strong. Oh, but man, do I miss Sky with rechargeable birds.
That's a little bit too later for me, as DZ will go ahead and get the res on not Burt.
But Beef gets
And-
Tones and DZ trades out. There's a lot of trades going on right now, and I can't keep up with them. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Circlap's good for 3. It's going to be a 1v3 on the plant.
And unfortunately, Pop-Tart
If
was
Wavecheck can
not
go ahead
ready.
and get the sweep from here.
Mr. Circlaps with
And
4.
Yeah, really good job on the Sage. And that's another interesting thing about handing your normal duelist Sage, is that if you're going to get a lot of kills anyway, you might as well use those charges to get res eventually. So, and here we go, Mr. Circlap's already getting
He can
one
get
more
aggressive
charge.
and heal himself.
Yeah. Which maybe that might be the play as UNI again pushes the deficit down to 1. Definitely going to be interesting to see how this stacks up as St. Ambrose will go ahead push in on the A side.
And it looks like Pop-Tart is alone on the A site, but he does have a judge, so holding that smoke in front of him is pretty important. But
Neon Alt comes out, tries to clear that A tower side, trying to cut off UNI where they got the Tejo.
And Raging Remy with the first pick. Raging
He's
Remy
got
gets
2.
2, but he is low, and Ubi gets the trade out.
Pop-Tart though, gonna try and work the corner.
Fablet lurked up on flank. Losing that Cypher.
Valuable.
Losing that Cypher is detrimental, and Beefman gets Ubi.
Finally with the Bucky kill, way to go Beef. And Pop-Tart finally seals the deal there at the end.
And now it is even Steven, 5-5. I think you and I finally found their momentum. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and I think it all has to come back to that Beef 3K that we saw kind of earlier in this first half. That kind of was the linchpin that I kind of noticed. That you and I finally in that moment realized that they could probably come back from this. And since then, they've been cycling through ultimates very well. Of course, we saw, you know, DZ using the Neon ultimate, didn't get any value from that ult. And UNI's doing a really good job, of course, getting some util capitalization here.
And Fablet gets the first pick. Beefman with the second. And can Remy trade him out?
He's gonna fire through the smoke, knows that one is there.
And did some more damage to DZ, forcing DZ to use that heal on himself. I wonder, does UNI know that DZ is playing with a judge here? And a sheriff, of course.
Come down to the plant on where the best possible plant is. As Tones will go ahead take out Remy. Fablet going down as well, and a nice block off wall for DZ.
But I will say, I do believe that Mr. Circlaps was able to get some damage off.
Pop-Tart's gonna go ahead, pop the res, see if he can come back from this one. Can't. And DZ with 3 on that round. Just a really clean first, like, I guess, initial moments there for St. Ambrose. Again, just winning these 50-50s that I feel like UNI hasn't been able to.
I think it all also comes down to trading out as well. It doesn't look like in a lot of the gunfights that UNI has been taking, they've had the numbers to try and trade out those gunfights.
All right, last round before the swap. Berkey, do you think UNI can pull this one out?
They're kind of on an awkward bye, but we also know that UNI does pretty well with their half buys and their bonuses. So I can't wait to see kind of what they get out of this.
Yeah, as Raging Remy is going to go ahead and get flashed with some of the Sky ults as Tones finally takes him out. Beefman, though, having to shoot through the wall. Toxin's low. Fablet, though, with the knife, is able to take out Wavecheck. It's going to be a 2v4.
But
situation for UNI
Fablet
as
and
the bomb
Pop-Tart
is
have
down.
bomb. And Tones is low, but Fablet with the operator.
Fablet.
We didn't see it all this half.
Yes, and Fablet finds one. He's got the knives. He's looking for Tones.
And Tones ults. Trying to get a pick with that ult.
Fablet misses the shot, has to swap to the knives.
Pop-Tart
but
with
Pop-Tart picks
three.
up 3.
Oh, but DZ grabbed bomb.
You will not kill my
And Rez.
player standing.
Could this be a game changer as Pop-Tart goes down? It's just going to be Fablet.
Fablet doesn't know about the rotate. He still thinks they're re-hitting A.
10 seconds
Bomb
left.
will go down. That'll cue him in. And he will finally rotate around.
No more ultimates though, but DZ is full HP and full shield. So Fablet's got to be very precise with his shots here.
See if he's going to catch him off guard. Of course, like you've mentioned with his util kit, he's got his one dash away that he still has available to him, I believe. Or at least a vertical.
He has an updraft.
He's gonna... Oh, he tried to stick the bomb, got halfway, but DZ kind of...
Unfortunately was not ready for DZ to be playing there. It was planted for main, so he was not ready for the wraparound on site.
So with this, at the half of game 2, it's going to be a 7-5 total in favor of St. Ambrose. UNI has been close a couple of times. If it wasn't for maybe a low HP there, here or there, UNI would have been able to kind of even this up. But, you know, the reses from these stages have been a big factor, especially late in the rounds.
The Sage ult is definitely good for those retake ults and those post-plant ults. Just getting your numbers up is always a huge thing. And unfortunately, it's just... I think UNI also needs to be a little careful with maybe getting greedy. I know in that last round we saw Pop-Tart jump in to vent there.
And already out this pistol gate. Oh my goodness, so many kills going out. It's going to be a 2v2 as the dust finally settles.
Definitely
And
just play. I think you just try to play post plant here. You definitely want to try and keep numbers up.
But DZ is still alive, man. That's the hardest part. As
Yeah.
Albert will finally take out Raging Remy. So, and both, and again, like what I've mentioned here, Berkey, is just like, if it wasn't these one-shot scenarios and like these 50-50 matchups, UNI would definitely be tying up the series.
Yeah, I think UNI just needs to get those stronger trades, like I was mentioning in the first half. Being able to trade each other out is huge, and they did a good job of it there at the start of that round. But towards the end, the St. Ambrose was just too spread out. Trades were just next to impossible.
All right, so UNI gonna look to unattack on the second kind of pseudo buy round. I know Raging Remy's got the Bucky, excuse me, but that's just gonna be interesting to see if he can get any information from the drone.
Tones with 2 and Wave Check with 1. This is gonna. Remy
Well
gets
stunned,
Ubi.
Remy sees Tones, gonna have to back out and reload. He's only got 2 in the chamber here, but UNI down early. Wave Check able to take him out, and Pop-Tart trying to get the trade, cannot, and Wave Check with 3.
That was a round that I'd say UNI definitely needed, especially forcing there, because now they're on another half buy, except for, looks like Pop-Tart, Mr. Surd Claps, and Fablet. We're going to see some awkward guns coming from Beef and Remy. I'm not sure what to necessarily think.
Once abreast.
Any thoughts on what UNI could do?
All missiles away.
Well, they got to win these initial engagements. Not to hark on first bloods or anything, but they got to win these like initial engagements. It's usually in the first 5 seconds, as we see here, you know, 2 members of each team going down. It's got to be that same scenario where UNI's got to come back on top in the first 5 seconds. It usually seems like 2 or 3 people get eliminated, and so now it's just picking up the pieces. As you know, in UNI, of course, coming out on top here, they're going to go ahead and get the plant on A, and it's going to have to be a focus on this retake as Pop-Tart pokes the corner, and DZ gets him as well. So it's going to be just, it's just, you need to finish the team fight from from start to finish, and UNI hasn't been able to do that.
And DZ with the res is going to make this a 2v3 situation.
Player standing.
And Tones with the judge, going to have to take out Remy, and he does. And just, again, you know, is it the weapon compositions that I'm just missing here? Because UNI had a really good stand into that round. However, they lose the round, and I guess I'm kind of question marks on to why that might be.
You know, that's a really good question. UNI, they did have the better weapons going into that round, with exception of a Stinger and I believe it was a Bucky from Raging Remy.
Oh, a Guardian, I think. Did he have a Guardian? Or was it Bucky?
I think he picked up a Guardian from somebody. I
gotcha.
can't remember off the top of my head. I could be wrong. So,
Okay, Pop-Tart able to get the pickup on Ubi.
which I don't like to really nag at First Bloods either, but First Bloods can be huge in this game. Getting that initial number up, it's just really big.
Yeah, and plus you have a whole util kit that you know, lose for the side of the enemy, which is also very valuable. And when UNI out of these first 5 seconds gets traded out, as we see a melee kill come out from Pop-Tart. Oh, but back from the dead is Tones, and he gets
And
taken
back from the
out.
death is Pop-Tart. And Remy,
man.
Remy being able to protect Pop-Tart here. Does Pop-Tart check this corner? No, he does not. And now it's going to be a 1v1 Remy versus DZ. Unfortunately,
Of course. Yeah, DZ able to go ahead and get that done, but how about that, Berkey? We saw like 2 Undertakers just coming back from the
that
dead.
was...
out of nowhere, Remy just pops out and gets 2, and that was just quite the
I'll
sight to see.
admit, I don't think St. Ambrose was ready for Remy to be there at all. Especially considering they had just picked off Mr. Sir Claps in that mid area. I don't think they expected another one.
Right, UNI again gonna push over to that A side. Mr. Circlaps does take out wave check. So gonna be interesting to see how UNI is gonna answer with the numbers up here.
Not
Favourite gets the trade out.
Pop-Tart, but
Oh, and Tones able to take out Beef Man. But Mr. Circlaps gets the res on Pop-Tart, so not a late round scenario, but UNI trying to crawl back from this 6-game deficit.
and it is going to be a 2v2 situation.
Oh, and Remy doesn't check the corners, so Tone's going to come from that top side, able to get out Pop-Tart.
But Remy gets the kill on Tones, and now it's just a matter of, does he expect Ubi to be here? And he does not.
Ooh.
Unfortunately.
And Ubi again, you know, it's just one of those things that I think UNI just kind of struggles again, just, you know, putting the start to the end of a match. Like, it would have been really beneficial there if maybe UNI wasn't as aggressive as we first saw. Maybe you hold that corner. If you're Remy, maybe you get the pick on Tones.
It's
But again,
definitely
we're asking
hard.
the what ifs.
Yeah, it's definitely hard, especially in a game of what ifs, because, I mean, in all honesty, we're the only ones that can see everything that's going on. They have no clue where everyone is. And unfortunately, it just ended in the hands of St. Ambrose. And I think I understand what you're saying about UNI not being as aggressive, especially when playing a team you've already played once. Sometimes it can be good to try and change up what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it gives them a different look, but I wonder how much of that variation is even going to be too, like, alienated to your own play style. So it's like, at what point does changing the process, start hurting you? And I feel like you and I, staring down this game point match, gonna maybe get swept by St. Ambrose here if they don't come back.
Like we were saying earlier, typically we see some strong retakes coming from UNI. And Fablet gets DZ, and Pop-Tart trades out the kill on Remy. It is going to be...
And Tone's down to 1 HP. Maybe this is exactly what UNI finally needs to do, is like they get some of the quick succession kills, Tone down to 1 HP. He's going to get taken out by Beef. And UNI able to crawl back from this one as they finally get the plant, I guess, for money worth.
UNI really needs to try and work the map like we saw in that round. Really spreading out that St. Ambrose team and trying to get out as much util as possible. It's so hard for them to do that, considering just the style that they typically play.
Yeah, and I want to stop ragging on UNI, but I want to give my kudos to like St. Ambrose because of how well they've been playing, start to finish. As Mr. Sirclap's going to go ahead and take out Tones.
Oh, Mr. Sirclaps takes out 2. He is 7
big shout out.
HP.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. And I wonder... Oh, and you don't even have heals that you have available to you.
No, it looks like he might have used them on someone else and... Gets DZ. Mr. Sirclaps at 3.
Well, maybe UNI ain't quite done yet.
Mr. Sirclaps has 10 till his heal, and I'm sure he's gonna use it on himself, correct?
Potentially. He'll get it used. Gonna see wave check here, and again, it's gonna be that coordination.
Mr. Sirclaps with an ace.
Way to go, Mr. Sirclaps, down to 7 HP at one point. Gets the 180 shot at both corners. Way to go. Maybe you and I finally coming back from this one.
Oh,
and that would be amazing to see. You get the TOS, Berkey.
I tried to avoid it. that one's not on me. We can equally blame Pop-Tart for that one, okay? I tried my hardest.
Keep it PG, Pop-Tart. Come on.
You know better. You know better.
Yeah, you and I trying to come back anyway. You and I gonna try and come back from a 4-round deficit. Maybe push it to a game 3 if they go ahead and take out Ubi here on the A push. That's another thing that I've noticed, is that they work this A side almost a little bit too much, in my opinion.
I can agree, but they do work the A side very well. They have a very strong A push, and unfortunately, DZ takes out 2 mid. But Pop-Tart gets the trade on wave check, and it's gonna be a 4v3.
Favourite able to take out DZ.
Now we're looking at a 2v3. Cypher ult is out. They know Pop-Tart's planting, and they know where he is.
Now Beef will go ahead, get the Viper ult down on B, and Moby with the Neon ult didn't get any value. However, Beefman goes down. Burt will go ahead and get the defuse, and with that, St. Ambrose will go ahead and sweep the Panthers in this series 2-0. And unfortunately, UNI does get the 4th place. St. Ambrose will make the podium. So the only thing we have left is to figure out who will win St. Cloud State University or Briarcliff for first place of Midwest 5. So unfortunate UNI kind of lost there. Of course, I saw sort of the text chats and everything. So it was just a cool kind of
They were just
game.
having fun, and I think
Yeah.
it does not help that UNI did just come back from that LAN. That definitely makes it extremely difficult, especially on the mental, to try and keep pushing that, as we can kind of see here.
And I mean, the biggest thing of that too is that, you know, they walked away with some hardware. They had some really tough fighting against UNO, and it just kind of weared off into Monday, and you could kind of see that here. So are we doing an interview? Would you like to do an interview, Berkey?
Sure. You know what? Why not?
Why not? You know, last one of the season.
Last game of the season.
Let's go ahead and get an interview. Who, if you had to pick a player of the game, who would it be?
Oh man, that's definitely
And it could be for any team.
a hard pick. I'd have to say, for if we're going between either team, probably DZ or Tones. They both had some real big rounds in both maps. And I do believe they were just an overall game changer.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, DZ, especially in that second game of Split, able to get a 4K. Game before, got a 4K. And just that constant presence that DZ has that UNI is always going to have to try and keep an eye on. If I had to give it to either team, it would also have to be DZ. Of course, Favelet tried to come up big, especially there late with that jet. However, UNI just wasn't able to kind of get the start to finish like we typically saw them do. But maybe we'll see if we can get an interview from somebody. Maybe no one wants to do an interview. Maybe they want to go to bed.
Maybe they want to go to bed.
I got you.
Oh, thanks, Beef.
We have Beef here.
Yeah, so go
Hello.
ahead, Beef. So kind of decompress us. What kind of happened? Oh, I guess the first thing, how do you feel? Any kind of thoughts as you're just now coming back from that match?
Oh, we had a ton of fun in those games. I'm sure you guys saw all the old chats that was going on.
Oh, we saw him. We saw him.
We've played a lot with these guys. They're pretty cool. We like them. Whatchamacallit, Favelet's brother is actually DGZ on the other team, if you weren't aware.
I was
And,
aware. Hunter made me aware earlier in the
I
map.
try to do my homework as a caster by golly.
And yeah, so we had a lot of fun. So obviously,
Yeah.
coming back from our LAN this last weekend, all of our players were super tired, and like I think that came a lot into these games. Like no one was 100% there today.
No, that's completely understandable, and maybe you could talk a little bit about it. But you know, Fracture we never really saw in the regular season. could you maybe go into like why Mr. Sirclaps played the breach and not a duelist? Was that kind of by design?
Yes. So basically, we wanted Favourite to be an op player this game because Fracture is just such a strong op map. So we wanted him to play either Jet or Chamber. We kind of were boiling it down, and it came to he'd play Chamber so that we could run Neon. And that kind of caused a shift in like the rest of our team comp because normally we have like Favourite and Raging Remy playing initiators. We still wanted to play our double initiator. Breach and Tail is just such a strong combination on this map. So we had Mr. Sirclaps move to initiator, and Pop-Tart moved to duelist, and Favourite moved to sentinel. Kind of like it was all kind of built around the op.
Okay, I got you. So, what do you think was the biggest hindrance to the team, or I guess not the hindrance, but the biggest obstacle that you guys sort of kind of saw in that Fracture play? Was there anything that stuck out to you?
I mean, I'm gonna try to bring something up besides just being super tired, because I do think that was kind of the biggest thing affecting our team.
For sure.
But I'll say like kind of a mismatch in intentions, where like we had a few moments like where we all wanted to, or where we wanted to fight, but we didn't. We kind of like funneled in rather than like going all at once. I think we saw it the most on like one of our eco rounds, where we just kind of like we fought like 2v4 and then another 2v4, and then Favourite was left picking up the pieces.
Yeah, because I kind of noticed that too, that there was a lot of like 50-50 matchups that you guys weren't really kind of winning there off the initial engagement.
Yeah,
So that
definitely.
was a little bit of difficulty too. But big shout out to you on Split getting the 3K like a couple rounds before the half. How were you feeling about that?
It was pretty hype. Here, you want to bring up that whatchamacallit, the timeline?
Yeah. Which round was that?
Is it round 10 maybe?
Nope.
9?
Where was it? There it is. It was round 6.
is.
We were a bit off.
Oh yeah, here. I think this is mid. No, this was okay. Yeah, it was there.
This was a heaven whenever they lined up right here at the 29-second mark.
Yeah, so a couple seconds prior, I think. Where did they get this pick on Mr. Sirclaps?
It was mid.
So like because I think I had pretty good timing here. Like they just got this pick a couple seconds ago, and they're like wanting to shift towards the A site or the B site because we're all like they know we're kind of stacked towards A. So I kind of wait to hear a footstep, and when I hear that footstep, I swing out, and thankfully they kind of line up. We do see that, but whatchamacallit, it was pretty nice. And then Clove revived, and I just mollied and sprayed him.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting the revive. Like if you were spectating me, I immediately pulled out a molly and chucked it.
I was spectating you. I do remember that.
Yeah, before they even like ulted, I threw out the molly.
For sure.
And yeah, I think that pretty nice play, but that play wouldn't have been possible like if Pop-Tart and Favourite didn't get those first 2 picks to kind of like make them want to shift towards A or B.
For sure. Do you got any questions, Berkey?
I did have a question. For that Fracture map, do you think that switching around who was on what role hindered y'all's groove in any way?
gonna say perhaps, but at the same time, Fracture isn't like one of our go-tos.
Yeah.
We actually kind of picked it so that we could have a bit of practice for like the end of the season.
Okay, so Fracture was kind of just always planning to be like a have fun, like try it out sort of map.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
we'd still try to win, of course, but yeah, it was definitely more experimental than like some of our other games.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, since you've played St. Ambrose before, you know, like you mentioned, they were kind of just chill guys. DZ is the brother of Favelet. Like that also probably had to play a factor in some of the plays tonight. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it.
Maybe, but I will say every time one of us killed DZ, like someone in the call would be like, "Oh, we got Billy's brother."
I love that.
And then whenever Favorite would kill him, we'd be like, "Oh, brother diff."
That's great.
Now let's address the Goomba stomp that happened on Split.
Oh my
let's address that really quick. So
Yeah,
what was
so,
the thought process going into that round?
So we
I don't
knew
even
they
know what
were-
round
we
it
knew-
was.
We knew they were hell, but Nate was. I will say, like, this tiredness, it doesn't only affect like mechanical performance, but it also affects like decision making. Let's say.
I'm trying to find what round it was, but I apparently cannot. So, yeah, that was definitely an interesting play.
Yeah, and so, like Nate, he knew he was there. I think he just wanted to try catching him off guard, and it didn't really work out. He was trying to go for like, kind of like a half spray, like get at least 1 or 2 shots on him while he's midair, and then like convert it into a normal spray when he hits the ground.
I see. Yeah, that was.
Think that was his plan?
It was a highlight round for sure.
Yeah. It was definitely a pretty fun play.
It was. I would definitely say it was a highlight round. It was quite eventful to say the least.
If I could replay this game like a million times, I wouldn't change anything about anything. Okay, this was a great game.
It
Yeah,
definitely
absolutely.
looked like y'all enjoyed yourselves, which is
Yes.
huge.
We did kind of throw our round 2, not converting the anti-eco.
Oh yeah, this round.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was tough.
And that was
But,
definitely
we
a
just
rough round to come back from.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I died that round. I was like in my orb, and he either walked into it or had a nice shot through it. Yeah, it looks like he walked in.
Yes.
Yeah. Which, it happens. I had a judge. I'm surprised my shot didn't register. I shot into like this corner guy.
I
the very
believe
bottom
it
of the
was Ubi that was in that corner there. If I'm remembering correctly.
I shot, but I like died at the same time, and the shot didn't register.
That's
Such is
always
life,
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you think you improved the most this semester, or something that maybe the team improved on throughout the semester? Because this was the last match of the semester.
I think this semester was kind of like the semester of individual playmaking. Like, I think we all like improved in our mechanics and individual skills. We had a lot more post or pre-round communication, like game plans to go into. Hopefully next semester we'll see. Like, we always want to play better as a team. So hopefully next semester we can capitalize on that more. Like, now that our individual skill levels have risen quite a bit,
Right.
now we can all like bring that together and like form something greater than the sum of our parts.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any seniors graduating, or do you guys basically retain the team this year?
I know Pop Tart is graduating, but I think as an alumni he's still allowed to play.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know how eligibility worked.
Yeah, he's a student teacher next semester.
Oh, so he's going to be like a GA. Is that
Yeah.
right? Oh.
And then Remy, I think Remy only has 1 more semester too.
I
But
believe
I'm not
that's
sure
correct.
about him. He might Like, I may be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure we'll have him at least next semester. Maybe not the
Alright.
one after that.
Okay.
And I hear
well,
Berkey's actually moving to Iowa to
Oh,
is that right?
yeah, I'm
specifically
moving.
to play on the UNI Valorant.
Yeah, I'm moving quite a ways to.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We'll have to figure that out next season.
It'll be a joy to see
Hey,
next
Jaeger.
season.
Yeah.
Jaeger, I heard you were also thinking about joining the Valorant team.
Oh,
is that
yeah.
right? Oh,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
would
yeah,
bring
like-
down the elo so far.
No, aren't you like immortal or something like that?
No, absolutely. As you can tell from my call-outs and knowledge today, Berkey, I am immortal.
He's peak radiant, actually.
Peak
He's only
radiant,
immortal right
man.
now.
Oh,
He's
okay.
immortal.
Okay.
Yeah, especially playing that sky. Playing the sky.
Good.
So, I guess the final question that I have, I guess, Berkey, do you have any final questions before we wrap up here?
I do not.
All right, Beef. Biggest question of the night.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite ice cream flavor? And if you do, what is it?
Yes, I do.
Oh, and he left.
And he's gone.
Oh, now he's back.
Can you imagine? It's
I-
definitely strawberry.
Strawberry. Any particular reason why strawberry?
It's a strong flavor.
It is a strong flavor. I think it's just like kind of this nice blend of sweetness and kind of like strawberry.
I'd say it's a reasonable pick, valid pick.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's different. It's unique. It's not vanilla.
yeah, I like vanilla too, but like what you call it, strawberry is definitely my favorite. I
Okay.
don't know, it's just kind of like a pinkish flavor, you know?
And you know
Oh,
what?
yeah, totally.
I do have a question for you, Beefman. Who was your MVP?
Me, I'm the MVP.
Okay. If you had to pick someone other than yourself, Mr. Beefman, who
I'd
would
have
be
to go
your
to-
MVP?
Give it to Beefman hashtag moo.
I just said besides Beefman.
Oh, okay. Um. Let's see. Yeah, I'll give it to Mr. Sir Claps. I think like his breach util was really nice on Fracture. We didn't get to see a whole lot of it because we were kind of ecoing pretty bad the whole game. But then on Split, he definitely pulled up quite a bit.
Definitely had some big game changer rounds from Mr. Sir Claps. I can agree with
Yeah,
that.
he had a really nice ult that just sealed the round completely.
Mhm.
Made for a good retake.
All right. Any final
Alright.
thoughts before we wrap up?
My clove through that second round, that second
Well,
match.
And you know what? Sometimes that happens. And you got next semester to figure it out. But yeah, thanks for joining us, Beef Man. It was really excited. And get some rest, and we'll see you next semester.
Yeah, thank you guys for casting, Jaeger.
Absolutely.
Always a joy. I'm really happy to have you as a caster. I always love watching these things back and like just hearing your beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you, Beef. That means a lot.
Yeah,
Thank you
really
so much.
stepped up to it. I'm really proud of you. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
All
Berkey,
right.
good job for like this last minute taking over for Monty. And good job to Monty, wherever he may be.
Wherever he may
He's the
be.
good.
I'll admit, it started off as a joke, but now I'm here. And you know what? I had a blast doing it.
Yes. Is this the start of Berkey's casting career? Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Special
Yeah.
guest.
Special guest. All right. So unfortunately, UNI does fall 2-0 against St. Ambrose, misses the podium, will take fourth in Central 5 division, or not Central, excuse me, Midwest 5, and the medal matchup for first place yet to be played. So unfortunate UNI Valorant team will retire for the semester. However, like Beef said, a majority of the folks will be back next semester, so look forward to the fall 2025 Valorant team. Should have bigger, better things to come. For those of you interested, on Thursday, UNI Rocket League is going to be playing their Central 6 matchup against either Missouri State or Arkansas State. So if you want to follow that medal matchup for third place, that will be on Thursday. For Berkey, working double duty tonight. Big shout out to her, able to fill in last minute. And my name is Hunter. Thank you for joining us for another wonderful conclusion to the spring 2025 Valorant season. See you next time, and go Cats!